It's time now for Coach's Corner with Heck and King, and we're always looking for more show sponsors. If you or somebody you know has a business to promote, email John at broadcastsport.net to get info on how to become a sponsor. We're now on Instagram with all the cool kids at IND Coach's Corner. If you missed the live show tonight, you can catch us on demand on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on broadcastsport.net. The show links can be found at linktree.com/Coach's Corner. Want to ask a question for these two slaps? You can always use the box or email John at broadcastsport.net, or you can text in a question, and of course you can email it right now. It is time for Coach's Corner here on broadcastsport.net.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to be entertained by the Black Sedan Band, and I'm yours truly, host Carl on the mic. I guarantee you, if you want to dance, we don't mind you doing it. We gonna have a good time. Hey, well, I'm the friendly stranger in the Black Sedan. I want you to hop inside my car. I got pictures painting of a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'm your vehicle, woman. And by now I'm sure you know that I love you. I need you. I want you, got to have your child. Great God in heaven, you know I love.
Yes, and you are listening to the Black Sedan Band out of Birmingham, Alabama, one of our fine supporters. They are a phenomenal band, and I don't know, Pat, but I just got to say this. I got to say this. You can call me a slap, and I'm cool, right?
Sure.
I can call you a slap, and you're cool, right?
Yeah, I'll live.
But anybody else calling us slaps, we're going, aren't we?
Yep, it's time to fight.
We're going. I don't know where that's coming from.
But I think it's my son.
That could be.
But he's 1,000 miles away. He's getting away with that. We'll just have, next time I see him, he may get popped.
Yes. And spinning the dials today is the great Johnny Be Good, Johnny Overman, who's the best in this business. We have a great show for you tonight. We have three coaches we're going to talk to on the eve of boys sectional basketball. Tomorrow, Alex Daniel, the great young coach, the former assistant coach at Bethel College, great player for the late, great Bill Harrell at Muncie Central. He's going to be on at about 6:50. Robbie Berger, who's he's had 8 20-win seasons in 16 years at Marian. He just keeps winning.
Winning.
He's going to be on at 7. We'll talk about his sectional draw, and then Bodie Bender, the guy who took over after me, ended up 17-6 this year, and obviously the cover was not bare.
Well, and they just heard on the radio earlier. They said that they've won 17 this year. That's the most in many years.
Yes.
25 years.
Yes, the most that my regime won was 15. So we're going to talk to Bodie. He's got a game tomorrow night against a Plymouth squad that's dangerous.
Yes.
They're 10-12. So we're going to talk to him about 7-10. As we get into this show, here's the first thing I want to throw at you, man. The University of Alabama. So, I mean, this kid, Brandon Miller.
It's been a topic, that's for sure.
6'9". Probably the best freshman in the country. Great player. Alabama's, they got a great team. They're winning.
Had 41 the other day.
So he gets a phone call. Hey, listen, bring my gun, will you, to the nightclub?
Come pick me up. Come on over.
And bring my gun. So, when someone tells you to bring a gun, you think they're just like playing around?
Are you going to go target practice?
Well, it's not a water pistol.
No.
So he takes the gun
to a club. His
ex-teammate and another player, ex-player, they shoot some girl and they kill her. And her name is Janae Harris.
Okay.
And she's 23. She dies, and the next day or the next couple days, this kid's playing again for Alabama.
Nothing's been said yet.
Well, nothing's been done to him except they've came out and said, well, we can't press any charges against him. All he did was deliver the weapon.
The gun was in the car. Now, did he hand the weapon to his buddy, or did his buddy come out to the car and get it?
From what I believe, his buddy went to get it. But at the end of the day, your comment should have been, I ain't coming. I'm at the dorm. I got a game to get ready for. I got a future. You're on your own.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
That's a world we didn't grow up in, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, but the world I did grow up in says
You bring a
that
gun.
if you do that, and maybe you didn't pull the trigger, and maybe the beef wasn't with you, but you brought the weapon. There's got to be something. There's got to be some kind of at least to protect the university.
Yes, and
Hey.
I think that's the biggest topic.
Hey, a couple of games here till this blows over a little
Right.
bit, and we'll protect the university. So now he's going out for warm or for the starting lineup, right? He's going out. They announce his name.
And
Blah blah blah.
was it an away game?
Well, I don't know, but
Well, they've had 2 games. I think they've played twice since this
but
all
his
happened.
teammates, as he's going out for the starting lineup, are acting like they're patting him down.
They patted him down.
as he goes out for the starting lineup.
And a lot of people do that, but this was probably not a good choice.
I'm just I'm stunned by this, and I'm stunned that the Southeast or the Southeastern Conference didn't make some kind of a comment. Alabama didn't make some kind of a comment. Nate Oates, the head coach at Alabama, he's a really good coach. He tried to downplay it.
And
So if you're
what
the
about
girls-
what about the opponents? The opponents are thinking, I'm not playing. If he plays, we're not playing.
What do you think about the girls' parents? Are you kidding me?
Okay.
A 23-year-old girl is dead. This guy drives the weapon, and it's hunky-dory for this guy.
It's because he's still innocent until proven guilty. So does
Yeah.
he play until then? I guess if you people can kind of catch on, we're not real happy about this. Think about Chris Beard at Texas. He gets fired for cause for something that he supposedly did, domestic violence.
In
He
December.
In December, he gets fired. And then 2 weeks ago, the charges are dropped.
So it happened, I believe, December 5th. He gets fired January 9th. The charges are dropped.
Charges are dropped.
Chris Beard, evidently didn't commit this crime, but yet he's fired.
But the
and there was no
due
process.
But the University of Texas did just the opposite of what Alabama's doing. They protected themselves. They protected their name. They said, look, you are an employee for us. You are part of Texas, and this is not the way we want to be represented.
Exactly.
So what we're saying is Alabama, they missed this one.
Yeah, no, they missed it big time.
This was easy. I mean,
and-
you got a
and-
domestic violence versus murder. I mean, you're going to
Yeah.
compare the two.
And at the end of the day, here's the question that I will always ask myself. Brandon Miller knew he was taking that gun for something to go down.
Yes.
He wasn't taking it to a trade show where they were going to offer him some money for it, and his
Like
buddy was
a
going to sell
pawn
it.
shop.
Yeah, there was something going to go down, and he knew what he was doing.
Yes.
And the very fact that he wouldn't touch the gun, that the gun was in the back seat and would not have his fingerprints on, the very fact that he went through all of that to protect himself, he knew what he was doing.
Oh, sure he did.
He knew what he was doing.
Sure he
and
did.
IU knew what they were doing the other night against Purdue too.
Well, yeah, I was in the car on my way home from Indianapolis.
Well,
John was too. So
Well, I'm gonna tell you
we
this
listened
much
to
right
it on
now.
the radio. What a second half! I'm thinking.
Well, so
one team was a no-show and the other team just took names.
Well, Jackson Davis doesn't score a point in the first half, and Purdue's down 4. Hood Schifrino.
Well, I mentioned last week who's the better guard in the state, Hood Schifino or the 2 Purdue guards. I think you found
Well, I
out
don't think
Saturday night.
I don't think there's any question. And the problem that I have, obviously, when Hood Schifrino is going to his right, and he pulls that J to his right, he stops on a dime, he leaves change, and he comes back down. He's going to a right. It's money. It's money, and there's no question. The announcers made that comment when the game was going on. Jimmy Jackson, a great player at Ohio State. And so at the end of the day, isn't that KYP, know your personnel?
That's scouting report. Sure it is.
Now, I know it's hard sometimes, especially when you're negotiating a ball screen. To get him to go left. But every one of those J's, he's going to his right. He's taking a hard 1 or 2 dribbles. He's planting that foot and just rising. Now, here's my other question, okay? Defending the screen roll. So Purdue with Eddie, he just drops back. I mean,
He's a soft hedge.
Yeah, and he drops back. Well, there's nobody to get up there to stop that 15-foot J.
If the guard chases over and goes second man, if he goes over the screen, he's trailing it. By then, Hood-Schifino's already up in the air. So shot.
Okay, so here's my question, and okay, you can answer this too because I'm sure you just too. In almost every game that I coached, where I knew the ball screen was a really big factor offensively. I mean, I went into that game with maybe 2 coverages or maybe even 3. You know, we were going to trap it. We were going to blitz it. We were going to trap it. We would go over or we would go under.
You could go hard and over. You could go hard and under, but you've got to have a hard hedge.
Well, and there's got to be a different way to cover that. And Purdue never changed.
Or you switch.
And well, I mean, and obviously Eddie wasn't going to play.
That's not a switch because that's a big small switch.
But it could have been a blitz. I mean, it could have been a blitz and then rotate out of it. And maybe Matt didn't think that Eddie could get back to the help side after that blitz. And I'm not one to second guess Matt Painter because I think, well, first of all, Matt's making millions. I'm making hundreds. Okay,
and he's got a few assistant coaches that could be helpful too.
Yeah, I mean Terry Johnson, all those guys. Those guys are great. But as I was watching that, and I was watching Jalen Hood-Schifino go for 35, I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a change in coverage here. I mean, there's got to be something that you can do differently. Now Purdue shot 21% from 3, and I mean Eddie went for 26 and 16.
Right.
And here's the other statistic, and you say Purdue lost. Purdue had 21 offensive rebounds. 21 offensive rebounds.
And they still couldn't win.
And 26 defensive rebounds. Indiana had 5 offensive rebounds. And Purdue had second shots left and right, but shot 21% from 3. Now, okay, we all said Purdue was really good. You know, once they got on that roll and they were playing really well, those 2 freshman guards were good. But they don't particularly have a good second scorer once the ball gets out of Eddie's hands.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
And I think it's
been by committee. For a while it was Lawyer, and then the kid from Newcastle had 30 that one game.
Yeah, I mean that was
a one-game thing.
I mean Mason Gillis,
yeah, Mason Gillis.
I mean, so teams are on
the key word you said consistent.
Yes.
And what they're doing now is, as we've seen, they're guarding Edie, and they're daring somebody else to beat them.
Well, when the ball's on the wing, they're fronting Edie, and they're
doubling him,
and they're daring them to throw the ball over the top. Which, when the ball's on the wing, you know this as well as I know this. And Stan Doherty, the assistant coach at Taylor and longtime Indiana high school basketball coach, knows this too. When the ball's on the wing, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to defend the post because the help side can come.
There is help side.
Now, you can flash that post and clear it out a little bit, but you can still have help side. I mean, I've always thought the best way to get the ball into the post is when you get it in from the high post, high-low.
It's a top feed.
Because there's no help side because there's no direction on which side of the court the ball's on.
And if you look a lot right now, that's what Purdue's doing. They're starting Edie at the top, and he's either getting a back screen from Gillis or he's down screening for Gillis. Gillis comes out for a catch, and then he turns around and immediately goes back in high-low, and there's no help because the ball's in the middle of the floor.
And so I referenced the great Stan Doherty. I think Stan's listening now tonight.
Hopefully we just got him on. That's what I was doing earlier.
so Stan played at Taylor. Stan played at Taylor when I played at Manchester.
And he was at Alexandria. He's 2 years older than I am.
He was a great high school coach at Delta, great college coach. Was one of the only winning college coaches that coached at Goshen College.
Right.
And he's just been in this for a long time. His son was a great high school player. But I wanted to reference Stan because I think he's listening to the show. So we're going to take a 30-second break. I'm going to line up the great Alex Daniel.
We've got some high school coaches.
Stay tuned.
Tonight is high school sectional night.
And we'll get Alex on the line here.
You are watching Coach's Corner here on BroadcastSport.net.
Frick's Driving School has been named the best driving school in Michiana. Frick's was started in 1960 and is located on Edison Road in Mishawaka. If your child is 15, you can get them started at Frick's. There are multiple instructors available for your driving lessons. Check out the BroadcastSport.net main page and click on the Frick's icon to get more information. There you can find out more information and instructions to enroll your new driver. Frick's Driving School, a proud sponsor of Coach's Corner on BroadcastSport.net. Southern Knit Studio is a proud sponsor of Coach's Corner on BroadcastSport.net. Southern Knit Studio is located in Nashville, Tennessee, which makes custom handmade chunky knit blankets. They come in 3 sizes and various colors for your living room or den. Stephanie's Esty Shop offers online shipping and ships anywhere in the country. If you need a great gift idea for any holiday, including birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, check out Southern Knit Studio. You can find more by clicking on the link at the www.broadcastsport.net page.
So we have the great Alex Daniel on, and I know somewhere in those coaching days playing for Bill Harrell that Bill Harrell was singing that song, "Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll," right, Alex?
Absolutely.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So you're 43 and 28 in your third year at Riley. Your first year there, you win the sectional. You got an NBA player, Blake Wesley. I mean, everything's good. But I contend y'all should be 44 and 28. You know why?
Why is that?
Because of that Washington game, man. You guys got to play that somewhere, and you got to beat with the Panthers, right?
Well, you said what?
I said you got to beat the Panthers, right?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of factors that went into that, but it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So it was late in the year, and there wasn't a whole lot of time to make it happen. So it ended how it ended. So
all right, so you finish up pretty good at 13 and 9. And you don't play till Friday, so that means it's like a regular week for you. You got a full week of practice. You play the winner of Plymouth and Mishawaka. Talk about your team a little bit and how you played down the stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, we had we're gonna have 10 days off from the last time we played. So there's a lot of people look at that different ways, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for us and. Different ways to handle that. We did give them a couple days off, but we're playing well down the stretch here. We've ended the season on 4 straight to kind of pull us into the sectional play here. A couple of key players went down. And I think it was end of January, beginning of February, and that honestly gave some guys some opportunity to play some different roles, which I think in the long run has helped us. Guys like Manny Hill and Peyton Baird, Brandon Williams, Keyshawn Wright are all guys that had to play bigger roles with both Marvin Schindler and Jalen Barbera out, for a long period of time. So, now we've got Marvin back in the mix, and, it's coming together pretty well. We feel confident and feel like we have a chance to win a sectional.
I know you got really good guards, and you played in the North Central Conference, and you understand what I'm going to say, or what I mean when I say this. You win with guards, man. I've always believed that, and so I know your guards are really good. Talk about your bigs, though. I mean, how good are your bigs? How big are they? And where will they take you in this tournament now?
Yeah, I think we start Caleb Francis, a senior, 6'3" senior, who's not necessarily a big, but he's a big-time athlete, and so he does a lot for us. Rebounds the ball pretty well, is active around the glass, can stretch some guys on the offensive end. Peyton Baird's another guy. He's averaging a little over 5 rebounds a game. He's a 6'5" junior that, like I said, has some versatility to him. We don't have any true bigs, but we got some guys that can go in there and mix it up, and makes it a tough guard on the other end. But like you said, we like to spread the ball out. I feel like we shoot the ball pretty well. And, we do need to compete on the glass. We look at those first 2 teams that we have a chance of potentially playing. They're both big physical teams. And so we gotta be able to withstand that, rebound the basketball, and make sure that they're not, scoring everything around the rim.
And one thing I think that they have to worry about, they got to worry about your quickness, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. think we hold an advantage in those areas with both of those teams. Like I said, we are able to spread it out, not only just to drive it, but we can shoot the basketball. And so we've been shooting well towards the end of the year. Hopefully that continues as we move into sectional. But I feel like I have 5 guys that can shoot in that 33 to 40% range. And so you have to honor us at the 3-point line, not just keep us out of pain.
Talk about the time, and probably, I think it was about 2 years where you played for the legendary coach Bill Harrell at Muncie Central. Talk about playing for him and what you took away from those high school years with him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, when you're playing, you don't realize, everything that's going on. And so when you sit back and look at it, and you're like, man, I had the opportunity to spend 2 years with Coach Harrell and the impact he had on my life, not just on the court, but off the court as well. He was a great mentor and trusted me with a lot of things. So there's still things that I use today that, Bill used. And, that was back in 2005, and I'm sure Bill used those in 1985 as well. So, but the game has changed a little bit, but there's still some things that we can use. His spread offense we still use, that I still use today. There's a couple actions in the offensive sets that, we were able to utilize. He used to have some different defenses that we haven't implemented, but I still remember those to this day. But there's a lot of good stories there about him and the impact he's had. And so that's really one of the, when you look at it, that's one of the reasons I got into coaching, to try to have the impact that he had on those kids as well.
Let me ask you this question, man. Did he ever light one of those cigars at practice, or did he just chew on them?
Never lit them. Now, you'd have the speckles all over the court because he'd spit them all over. We get down practice, the paint would be filled with cigar, tobacco just spitting on the floor. But never saw him light it up.
Oh man, no. So I thought he was a Hall of Famer for a long time, and just to be able to play under him and to be able to and really to be able to coach against him, particularly one sectional where the game was close and you guys got the ball out of bounds against the Anderson Indians, and some little guard with blonde surfer hair sneaks inside and scores a bucket against us, right?
Yeah, I'll remember that one. But it was, I remember running to the other end of the floor. I think somehow I got caught with an elbow, and during the celebration, everybody just stops and stares at me, and I'm like, what's going on? And supposedly I had blood just running down my face. So
yeah, and obviously, so we all know the other team's out of bounds plays, right? We practice those, and I knew you were supposed to come off of a double, and you took a step towards that double, saw that defender playing, and cut right to the back of the basket and scored it, man. I mean, Alex Daniels. If anybody was going to score that bucket, Alex Daniels was, right?
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Listen, we want to wish you the best of luck. Pat King is here. Pat, you want to say hi to him?
Yeah, sure, Alex. Hey, I was just looking at your bracket, looking at the crystal ball a little bit. You got the two good teams in the other half of the bracket in City and LaPorte, don't you? So things are looking pretty good. You just got to win one Friday.
I think some people are looking at it like, I think this thing's even, man. I mean, Plymouth's playing really well right now. Mishawaka's had a great year. We went on a little run there at the end. I think we're playing well. Like this thing, I think it's wide open.
It is.
I know the LaPorte City thing is more of a rivalry than on that side of the bracket kind of deal, but I think it's a toss-up for anybody's ball game. I like having the bye. I'm good with that. But I think we're in a good position to win 2 ball games.
Hey, listen, man, you've had a great year. You do a wonderful job of coaching those kids up at Riley and teaching them basketball, teaching them life. Good luck this week, and I'll see you over at LaPorte, man.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, see you. Bye-bye. That is the great Alex Daniels. So why don't you take a minute and talk about maybe 1 or 2 of those girls' sectional game.
Could.
I'll get Robbie Berger on the line here. We'll talk to Coach Berger.
And Alex made a good point. That Friday night game with City and LaPorte, those two are such rivals. The emotions are going to be so high. The winner that's going to have a hard time getting ready for the Saturday night game. And that's what I was saying, other bracket.
So City plays John Adams in the first
Adams.
game, and Plymouth and Mishawaka play the second game.
Then LaPorte will play
City in the second game.
Unless Adams can sneak in there.
But they can't. They
Probably
can't.
not.
They ain't got a coach. Who's coaching them?
Well, newsflash, John.
Actually, he was reinstated today by the South Bend schools.
Of course.
So
the
day
week of
before the
sectional. Of course.
They sent a release out today saying that he's been reinstated as a teacher and a coach after an investigation.
Well, good for Chad Johnson because I like, I want to see Adams when they're at their best.
Right.
And they're obviously going to be at their best when the great Chad Johnson, the Indiana All-Star coach, will be coaching. Listen, I'm gonna hook up with Rob. You talk about some girls
John,
sectional or
let's talk
state
about
finals.
Yeah, John and I were down. We covered 3 of the state finals teams.
Yes.
And Lanesville, Bethany Christian was the first game. Bethany Christian was one of the Elkhart teams. That the novelty of the thing, and you can fill in some of the blanks. Bethany Christian and Fairfield were both Elkhart County teams.
Correct.
1A, 3A, and they were both playing.
Harrison County team.
They played Harrison County teams
with
down on the
Corydon
river.
Central and Lanesville. Yeah.
So which was just west of New Albany. So Lanesville was good. They had an Indiana All-Star in that Sonner girl, the 6'1" Sonner girl.
She was
and
good.
Bethany had no answer. She was 6'1", played inside, and did a great job. So Lanesville was definitely the better team in the 1A game. You got Robbie on there?
So we have the great Robbie Berger. When you look at Rob's numbers at Mishawaka Marian, 286 and 90, 386 and maybe 180 overall, 820 win seasons in his second stint with the Marian Knights. Man, you're having another great year with 22 wins. Talk about your team for a minute, Coach.
It's been a good year so far. I think we defend, and I think our offense has gotten better as the season's going on. And, we've played a pretty tough schedule. We always try to challenge ourselves. And, I think we've played and beat some pretty good teams.
They're the only 2 teams that have beaten big schools.
Yeah, so the only 2 teams that beat you were Penn and Homestead, maybe?
Yeah, both on the road, yeah.
Yeah, he took Homestead to overtime, right?
Yeah, that was the 4th game in 2 days. So,
Wow.
I'd like to have that one back, to be honest with you.
So a lot of people don't know this, but Rob was one of my assistant coaches at Anderson High School when I first got there. Rob was a very young coach and came in and did a great job and was in the North Central Conference a couple of years before he went out to Rollins University in Florida. And so, Rob, I know you've heard me talk about this quite a few times, and I still believe this. You win with great guards. So listen to some of these names. Jair Rogers, Michael Hemingway, Devin Cannaday, Demetrius Jackson, Declan Sullivan. Are you getting my point here, man? The guards that you've had at Marian are just phenomenal.
Well, the 5th pick in last year's NBA draft wasn't bad either. Jaden Ivey wasn't too bad.
Oh, yeah, no. If you got Jaden Ivey, if you got Jaden for that last year, there's no question. You win a state championship and you go down to the state last year. So talk about those guards. Talk about if there's anything you do different when you coach them, or you just utilize their natural abilities.
I think. Like you did, I think we do a pretty good job. Guy play. I think we have some structure, but we don't really have constraints. I'm a firm believer we need a shot clock, and 20 seconds is long enough before you get a shot up. But I think we do I think our guys play, and the guys that can play, take advantage, and we've been pretty successful. I think, as a coach, I'd be dumb if I kind of constrict some of those guys, and I think, they've got talent, and obviously they did. They're going to make you look pretty smart.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And I can't. You're right. I ought to smack myself here because I can't believe I forgot Jaden Ivey, but I did forget him because, he left you the last year and went to play at La La Mer. When he did that, did you have the last meeting with him? Did you have could you throw the highest contract at him, better than La La Mer could, or did you think it was a done deal?
Well, I don't think it had anything to do with, that was the year his mom went and coached with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Uh-huh.
And that, it was just him and his mom who lived together. So when she moved, they kind of needed a place for, where he could stay. Mm-hmm. And, La La Mer was, had a campus. They had dorms, and he stayed on campus was the reason when we talked in the summer of that year was the main reason that they were going to go to La Lumiere.
I see. So you open up tomorrow night, man, against South Bend Clay. Clay's been better this year. They're 11-11. They got a really nice freshman guard, and they have the other guard that's really good. How long ago did you play Clay the first time around?
January 12th, so kind of the middle of January. We played, and they've gotten better. I mean, this is the best Clay team that I think I've seen in probably about 10 years. They're real solid. The Harris kid. It's good. The freshman kid's good, and they've got other guys. They shoot it and they drive it well. We worked all day at practice today. We've got to contest shots, but more importantly, we've got to keep them out of the paint. They're not real big, but they do get it up and down the court, and they'll get into you defensively as well. We've got to take care of the ball, and if we attack the paint and hit open shots, we'll be okay on that end. But offensively, they can score. They drive it, they shoot it. They've got quite a few weapons this year.
Assuming you take care of business, and I got my money on you in game one, obviously, and assuming you take care of business, then on Friday night you're going against a 16-5 Washington ball club that you really, really played well against, and I don't know if the score indicated how that game was really played, but I think that'll be a tough game for you Friday night then, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're very talented. They're a well-coached, talented team, and I said after to anyone who asked that, the sectional will go through them. Someone's going to have to beat them, to win the sectional, and, they're that good of a team, and, we knew then, all along that, if we're fortunate enough to beat Clay, the way it breaks down is, we're going to have to beat Washington, and, that's no easy task at all.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I think anytime you play athletes and anytime, they have the opportunity maybe to turn you over and get some runouts, although I think it's very difficult to turn you over with Declan Sullivan on your team because he's such a dynamic guard, handles the ball really, really well. And then you get by the Panthers and it's the holy war all over again, right?
Well, I guess if you're a betting man, probably.
No, I got hundreds on it, man. I got hundreds on it. I got hundreds. So I saw Mishawaka play at St. Joe the other day. I think the Konechny kid is going to be a really, really good player.
Yeah, they all are.
Yep.
The sister and the older brother were all good players, and he's going to be no different. A couple years, he'll probably be one of the top players in the league.
So I got the great Pat King sitting next to me, man, and me and Pat really, really well from his days at Anderson, and obviously, or his days at Adams, and obviously he's a former Anderson Indian. What do you got for Robbie, Pat?
Well, I'm really impressed with your diplomacy here. Here we are trying to pull things out of you. You're doing a great job of being the diplomat on here, saying the right things. I think I'm very impressed. It's almost Al Rhodes-ish.
Well, maybe when I'm done with this, I can run for politics.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as I keep everybody happy, right?
Exactly. Hey, when in doubt, just make sure you win.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. You're right.
Hey, so we had your dad on one of Paul Condry's legend shows a couple weeks ago, and your dad was absolutely phenomenal, man.
Yeah, it shocked me. He's been doing it for a long time. Coach forever. Now he's been in the media, it seems like, forever. So, yeah, he's pretty much, if anything's happened in northern Indiana, specifically South Bend basketball, he's probably going to know the answer more than anybody. Did you guys see about E.T. Pearl today? That's sad. Earl Mishler.
Yep, saw that. Yep, I saw that he passed away. I thought he's been in hospice. I think I read for a little bit, but Chuck Freeby had a nice thing about him during the day today.
Yeah. Well, other than him, I was going to say my dad was probably second, in the area as far as knowing
statistics.
South Bend and northern Indiana basketball. So he's been around forever.
So listen, man. Whenever Marian plays, I'm always looking for in the left column with the M's because I know you're really, really successful, and I know you do a wonderful job, and I know how hard you work at it. We want to wish you continued a good luck in sectional 19 at Jimtown, and look forward to maybe watching the Knights play in the regional, man.
I appreciate it, Pat.
Okay, good luck to you.
All All right, thanks, guys.
Good luck, Robbie. See you, man.
All right, bye.
That's the great Robbie Berger, man, and he's just a basketball guy.
Yeah, he is. And he grew up in a basketball world.
Yeah,
and his brother Jimmy coaches. I mean, that's just all they do.
He played for his dad at Riley. His dad told me that he shot the ball well. He has no idea what a charge is. He said he never took a charge in practice. I should have asked him that question. Never took a charge in the game, but he was a great player. Came over and coached with me at the Wigwam. Went to Rollins University for a couple years. Then came back and took the head coaching job at Marian. For a couple years.
Yep.
Went to Wawasee. Came back to Mishawaka. Went and helped Mark Johnson for a couple years.
And that's when Mark won, because Mark surprisingly started running a 2-3 zone over at Riley.
Imagine that, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, I had a great coach, and you know Calvin Bailey.
Sure.
Calvin Bailey, he was a legend at Frankton High School.
Calvin Bailey played junior high ball for my dad at Central Junior High. How's that for dating ourselves?
And Calvin was on my staff when I first took the job. Calvin and Rob were both on my staff, and Calvin knew the head coach at Rollins University and got Robbie there. But Calvin's specialty was the flex offense and the 2-3 zone, the slides out of the 2-3 zone, and imagine Robbie doing a great job with that. But now Rob's incorporated the man-to-man defense, and he's done a great job, with the 1-3-1. He's always had a lengthy guy up top.
Yes, he does.
To play the top of that 1-3-1.
When I remember when he was, maybe he was your student teacher or something, or was on your staff, we went up to Andrean one year the one year I wasn't coaching back in the 90s, and we did some scouting. I think we scouted Andrean because you played Andrea maybe the second or third game of the season. We went up there around Thanksgiving to watch them play somebody, and that's where I learned about where Andrean was on 59th Street.
So listen, I'm gonna get Bodie Bender on, take another girls state finals game.
John, talk to me about the lapel game. The lapel game we had might have been the best game of the day.
I think it was. It was really close, and I was really impressed with Lapel's freshman center. She's good. She's good.
And Lanaya Wells, 6-foot freshman, averaged 16 a game. She only had 8 points, and I tell you, Forest Park, which was defending state champs, their whole game plan was don't let her score.
And they got the job.
And
done.
they had a lengthy what was Amber Treader, 6'1" senior.
Yes.
She played the top of a 2-3 or a 3-2 zone, and we call it a point drop, where she drops level with the ball, so that she would front. They played behind, so they played in front and behind her, and Wills couldn't get a shot. But it came down to the last play of the game, 38-37. Treader scored a bucket, and then Lapel had to side out of bounds right by their bench with like 1.5 seconds and got a shot off and just missed.
Yep.
So they were one shot away from being state champs.
It was a great game. That was a good one to broadcast as well.
So we have the first-year head coach from the Mishawaka Cavemen, Bodie Bender, comes in. He has a 5-year record to date of 83-35, which is a great winning percentage. He comes into Mishawaka. He grinds out 17 wins. Has had a little adversity, fought through some adversity, getting his team ready to play against a tough Plymouth team that they beat probably by 8 points at Plymouth. Bodie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Just another day in paradise, man, talking hoops, talking sectionals. But here's the deal. We ain't got a coach in any sectionals, man. We've had all those butterflies.
First time in, 30 years?
We don't have any, but I know you've had a great practice today, and I know you and your basketball team are probably really anxious to get that thing going. Talk about your game against Plymouth tomorrow night a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're ready to play. They're much improved. Obviously, Davis Ray, who is an all-conference type player, Easton Strain, who I believe is an all-conference type player, are two kids that we're going to have to really keep an eye on the defensive end. But they've got another player in Caden Ellery here in the last month who's really started to play much, much better. And I would say in the last month or so, he's probably averaging 11 or 12 a ball game. So, the Cademen are going to have their hands full tomorrow night defensively with those three.
Caden Ellery's father, Jerry Ellery, played for Digger Phelps at Notre Dame, correct?
Yes, correct.
Do you remember him, Pat?
No.
I do not remember him.
So the advantage of playing a team during the season, and you played them in January, is that you know their sets. Davis Ray came out, made some J's against you, maybe scored 20, but now he's no surprise. Now you know about him. Now it's about knowing your personnel. Talk about how he scored against you, and what are some of the things you're going to have to do to stop him.
Yeah, I think for us, we're going to have to understand his tendencies a little better, and I'm not going to get into those a whole lot. We went over those today in practice. But we lost him a couple times on, down screens, re-screens, where they would down screen with him, and then they would pop somebody, and they would re-screen for him, and we just didn't switch out fast enough. We didn't stay high on the switch out on the screens, and he had some open looks against us, and then his ability to drive the basketball, and I think he finishes better than probably anybody that I've seen in the area around the rim. He can be a load. He can score in bunches, and we got to be aware of that tomorrow night and not allow him to start scoring in bunches, kind of like he did. I'd say in the third quarter against us down there on January 5th.
Pat, what do you got from Coach Bender?
Well, it sounds like what you just described was the old Plymouth D offense that we've seen forever and ever up here with the screen and rescreen that they have, and it just happens it's for him. So, yeah, get used to that. You'll see it again tomorrow night.
The old open offense that Coach Edison used to run, and now one of his former players, Joel Grindle, has kind of brought that back a little bit. He's done a nice job with this group.
A lot of things maybe our listeners don't know was Bodie Bender was the coach at Carroll High School last year in Flora, and made it all the way down to the semi-states. And had a chance to win that basketball game and get to the state championship. But the unique thing about that is he did it with all underclassmen. And Bodie played at Jimtown, so the opportunity to take the Mishawaka job when it was offered, the opportunity to come back home and coach near his family. But with that opportunity meant you had to give up a great team coming back. Talk about that Carroll team this year and where they are and what kind of record they have and what kind of opportunity they're going to have in the state tournament.
Yeah, I would say, and that was a tough decision for me. I think you and I have had those talks before, and you knew what it was like personally to do that. It was hard to break away from those kids that I was very close to. And I'll be honest, I'm still very close to some of them. I still communicate with some of them. I've seen them play a couple times in person this year. And they're having another great year. My JV coach took over. He is from Carroll. That's home to him. He teaches there. And we'll probably never leave there, but they're 19-4. I know they're ranked in the top 12 or 15 of the state in 2A. They will be the favorite in their sectional. They're in the Delphi sectional, and they tip off in game 2 tomorrow night against Seeger, who's won 14 games. They're pretty good as well. So they're going to have their hands full trying to get back to the title game. I would love to watch them play. I just hope the chances of watching them play could be somewhat delayed here for a while.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get the chance.
Stay busy.
Watch them on Huddle.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get the chance to watch them play because I like where the Cavemen are. I like that 4-minute stretch that they had in the overtime game against St. Joe on Friday night, and I think the Cavemen's their opportunity to go up to LaPorte and take care of business. I think that's a really good a sectional, and I think you guys are right there.
I sure hope so. I just want to take it one game at a time. As you guys know, you guys have played in many of them. We'll just take it one game at a time.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. So while you were practicing today, I got home to the crib probably about 3:30, put on Marquee Sports and watched a little bit of the Cub game. But that's what I did today, man. And for those fans that don't know, Bodie is a diehard Cub fan as well. So, I don't want you watching the Cubs now for about 3 more weeks. All right, man?
No, I'd like to delay that here for a little bit.
All right, well, listen, congratulations on a great year. You guys played really hard. You guys played really good. And I know myself and all the Mishawaka people are looking forward to you guys coming out and having a great tournament, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, that was the great young coach, Bodie Bender. I mean, he's done a lot of. I mean, so you're talking about 83 wins and 35 losses. So my benchmark was always this, Pat. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you were at with this, but I always thought if you could double the amount of wins as opposed to the amount of losses. So if you played 120 games, so my goal was always to be 80 and 40, and always double that. Rob Berger has certainly done that in his career. I was close to doing it for a while, and then we hit some hard times. I took this job here, and trying to get the culture settled a little bit. And I didn't get that done, but I'll tell you who has got that done and got that done really, really well was Jimmy Shannon.
Yeah, Jimmy's getting ready for his last sectional coming up, but he's won a lot of ball games down at New Albany in 25 years, I think it was.
Yeah, no. So Jimmy and I were always kind of on this career path together,
right?
And our numbers were really similar. Jimmy took jobs at like talk to me where Jimmy was.
He started at North Decatur.
Yes.
Then he was at North or South Dearborn.
And I was at Wapahani.
And then he went to Lebanon.
Yes. Had a great run at Lebanon.
Yes, had a good team at Lebanon, good enough that he got credentials that people in New Albany wanted him.
Yeah.
So
Jimmy.
But see, the thing you two did differently than me, both of you were head coaches in your 20s.
Exactly.
I was an assistant coach for like 12 or 13 years before I finally got my first job.
Well, you were coaching that other sport too.
I was coaching some football.
You were coaching that other sport.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I coached football at Richmond High School, and Dave McCullough, the great Noblesville coach, Shenandoah. Now he's at Frankfurt. Dave McCullough was the head 8th grade coach at Pleasant View in Richmond. I was his assistant. And I said, Dave, man, I don't know what I can do for you here. And he said, heck, how about dressing out, just going against the guys every day? So here I am, 22 years old, and a helmet, shoulder pads. And I'm like, Dave, the way I'm playing, I need to get to the league, man. Are you kidding me? And he said, heck, you need to remember, these are 8th graders.
These are 8th graders.
But no, Dave and I had a great time down in Richmond.
Yeah, those are good stories. See, I missed all that, those 7 years I was in Texas, and to be quite honest, my credentials probably, when I came back to Indiana, you would have looked at them and wondered why, because I was an offensive coordinator at a big school for football down in Texas at the time, and just took the chance to come back here and coach basketball. So it was a kind of career-wise a step backwards, even though I was a varsity coach.
So we have some time now because we started late. We got about 10 minutes on this show left. Let's go through a few of these sectionals here, and some of them that would be relative to us, like this Class 4A Sectional 1 in Munster. So you're looking at a Hammond Central team that's 22-1,
and they're rated very high. I think they're rated 3rd, right behind Penn.
And also in that sectional, Maryville's having a down year, but that's atypical for Maryville.
Right, and they've lost their last 2 to Adams and Penn here just in the last week.
But you got Mike Hackett's team, Munster, 22-2.
Hammond and Munster are the 2 favorites in that one.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. East Chicago Central, 12-9, and Lake Central, 15-8. So Hammond and Munster would go against each other in the championship game, right?
Right, and then at sectional 2, you've got Crown Point and Chesterton, which is the one word we didn't mention there. Where's Valpo? They're 3rd.
At 11-13.
Yeah.
At 11-13. That's an atypical year for them.
So this is a rebuild for them. And we've talked about it, LaPorte, that sectional is wide open. That's flip a coin.
I don't think there's any question about that. If I'm looking at that right off the jump here, I got Michigan City over at Adams. Because I'm a Mishawaka guy now, I got Mishawaka over Plymouth, but don't sleep on Plymouth, man.
Right.
That Plymouth team is going to execute.
They're a very good 10-12 team, like you said, and they've been in the Northern Lakes and have done very well for themselves.
And LaPorte's playing good basketball at 17-6. LaPorte will play the winner of Adams and Michigan City, so you'll have a LaPorte-Michigan City game, and assuming that Mishawaka gets through Plymouth, you're going to have South Bend Riley. And Alex hasn't had his full team all year.
No.
He's had some injuries. He's got his full team now. Mishawaka beat Riley by 3 or 4 during the regular season early.
Right.
Early. So I think that would be a heck of a game.
The challenge you have is Riley really lives off the three-pointer, and almost to the point where they live and die off the three in their defense. So they're either going to shoot layups off their steals or shoot threes.
Yeah, without question.
And sometimes that's not a good combination.
Well, it's not a good combination.
We saw that from Purdue the other day when they couldn't make a shot.
21% against IU. Now 21%. But so I like that sectional, and I could see a Mishawaka, Michigan City, championship game, or Riley could take care of it.
There is no such thing as an upset over there.
But in sectional number 4, there's nothing.
Yeah,
they got nothing.
It's the Penn Invitational.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the Penn Invitational, Penn against Elkhart, and I don't know.
A distant Warsaw is what it amounts to.
I'd like to be privy to some of those meetings that Elkhart is going to have. When it comes to talking about their boys basketball program.
Well, and
when the season's over, Kyle Sears has been there. I mean, this is one of the largest schools in the state now.
It's his third year. The problem they have over there is demographics. Is literally who do they have in the school, and they're going through the same transitions that Michigan City did with Elston and Rogers, what Anderson went through with Highland and Madison Heights. They've got a lot of kids that are leaving because they don't want to be part of that dynamics. They've got a huge flight problem over there to the suburban schools, and quite honestly, they're having eligibility problems with some of the kids. They're having trouble with kids coming to school.
Well, so I think then if that's an issue, and I like Kyle. I think Kyle's a wonderful guy. He had a great career at Elkhart, but I think they're probably going to make a change if they're having problems with attitudes, discipline, academics. And I don't think there's, they
just can't get them in the gym. They can't get them get a uniform on them because they're not eligible.
Concord 11-10, having an okay year. Goshen won a couple of big games, beat Warsaw, beat Mishawaka, but it's the Penn Invitational, like you said.
Yep.
And it's Penn getting ready then to play in that regional, which could be a great regional with Hammond Central or Munster.
John,
or
do you know how that's been drawn? That's been drawn. Who plays who? Do you know off the top of your head?
Give me a minute. I'll look it up for you.
Let us go over toward Fort Wayne. Sectional 5, Carroll and Fort. I think it is a sectional. Is at CC, isn't it, or is it? It's at Carroll.
Yeah, it's at Carroll, and you're looking at
Carroll and Fort Wayne North Side.
Yeah, 12-10 versus 13-9, and nobody else is capable unless there should be an investigation, right?
Yeah. At CC, you've got Homestead and Fort Wayne.
Yeah, Homestead at 17-7, Fort Wayne at 17-4. But besides that, I'm not sure anybody else can sneak out of there. Kokomo would be a
heavy favorite.
A really nice sectional. Harrison Lafayette's at 17-6. Lafayette Jeff 13-10. Marian 14-8. Kokomo 19-4. Kokomo beat Anderson for the North Central Conference title, and they have the big boy. They got the big boy.
They've got the best underclassman in the state. That's for sure. Maybe the best player in the state. Who knows? Carmel
15-7. Westfield 15-7. Noblesville at 17-6.
That's huge down there. I think they have 5 teams down there that are better than anybody in the LaPorte sectional.
Yeah, when you talk about Sagarin ratings and things like that.
Yeah, the Sagarin ratings, they have 5 teams down there that are better than everybody except Penn up here, Penn and Hammond.
The last one I want to talk about is sectional number 9, Muncie Central. Richmond 16-6. Pendleton Heights has fallen on hard
You've
times
got 3
here.
teams down there that are in the top 15.
Muncie Central, Fortville. So I think the coach Ullum, who was the head coach at Monroe Central, Chandler gets out. Chandler Thompson. What a name associated with Muncie Central.
Yes, he's a name, kind of like Bob, or what the Saturday guy at the Colts.
Jeff Saturday. But Chandler, Chandler coached a little bit, and Chandler had a year or two where he had some success. He also had a year where he went zip for the season.
Yeah, they were over.
And so the new coach gets in there in his first year, goes 15-7, Mount Vernon 14-8. But Anderson 19-4, Greenfield Central, 21-1.
And Greenfield's the favorite.
But here's my question. I'd love to see the strength of schedule on Greenfield versus Anderson. And also, I'd like to see that game. And I would certainly bet on Anderson because of the quickness factor and the turnover factor, because turnovers lead to runouts.
Look at that Friday night bye game. You got New Palestine. New Pal is very good too.
21-2.
So you got New Pal, Greenfield, and Anderson, all three.
That might be one of the toughest sectionals in the state.
Yeah, and we haven't even got to the Indianapolis sectionals with Cathedral, Ben Davis, Brownsburg, and the surprise down south is Jennings County.
Really?
Jennings County is in the top 10 this year, and they haven't been good they weren't good when I was down there.
I want to take a look at three sectionals, or two sectionals in 3A at Jimtown, sectional number 19. How does Jimtown get to host a sectional? I don't think it's a great gym. Do you?
It has nothing to do with the gym, and it has to do with who's on the executive committee of the IHSAA,
or the parking lot, or how many restrooms you have, or how many locker rooms you got.
It has nothing to do with that. It's about who's on the board.
For all the Jimtown people listening tonight, Coach Pat King made that comment. Ron Hecklinski stayed away from that one. All right, so we have Mishawaka Marian. I mean, this could go a lot of different ways, man. Mishawaka Marian will take care of Clay. St. Joe will take care of Jimtown. Washington and Mishawaka Marian, that could set up to be a really good game. And it doesn't matter.
Washington's quickness versus the discipline and just the
coaching of Rob Berger.
Yes.
And the point guard play of Declan Sullivan.
Washington has to be able to make shots. And in their past, they cannot make shots against Marion's defense, and that's been their downfall.
Well, if they make some shots, they can take that 30-point win. That Marion, that's a lot of points to have to overcome.
Yes, it is.
But again, Marion could get out of there. And I want to take a look at this sectional 20 at Northwood. Obviously, you have, and depending on which poll you look at, it's either Marion or Northwood at number one. But Northwood is 22-2. And also West Noble at 20-3.
Yeah, they're good.
Lakeland at 16-7. So it's gonna come down to Northwood and West Noble, and I think that'll be a great. I mean, that would be a great sectional. But it's at Northwood, right?
Northwood still have. I mean, think about it. They played Ben Davis a very good game down at the Hall of Fame tournament.
And we did the Northwood Mishawaka game. We saw Northwood's length.
Yes.
We saw Northwood's ability to shoot the ball. We saw Northwood's ability to rebound.
They ran a good program. Over at Fort Wayne, you've got favorites. You've got Concordia. The surprise I saw was in sectional 6 was Rensselaer over toward Lafayette. Norwell's very good this year, and Yorktown. That's the other part of the north that we've seen.
Let's move to sectional or to Class 2A, sectional 34 at North Judson. You're going to have, North Judson really good.
They're the heavy favorite.
20-3. So
LaVille's next,
and they're going to play a tempo game.
Sure.
They're going to play, they're going to pass the ball. They're going to make you have to play a little bit of defense. And then the other one I want to talk about. The great Leon Johnson took over for you.
He did.
He got double-digit wins this year,
That's
10 and 12.
That's the first time. I didn't get the 10. We've got the same team. We had no seniors last year. So, again, the cupboard was not bare, but they're a year older and they're a year better, and they've picked up 2 or 3 more wins.
So and
they play Friday, which I never had a chance to do.
No, so in all my years of coaching, my abilities to have the bye, I probably had the bye once or twice.
It was a big accomplishment. Just getting to the Friday night game is a big deal.
I don't think there's any question about
that. It's definitely an advantage to get to Saturday night.
And so if Leon's team can, I don't know if they can beat LaVille, because LaVille will be very, very disciplined on how they play defensively.
They played, I think it was a 10 to 12 point game the first time around, because they play each other during the season.
And maybe Hebron sneaks up. Maybe Leon gets a chance to be in the championship game.
Because Hebron and LaVille have played before too, and that's been a close game.
Let's take a look at locally anybody we know in Class 1A, which would be
your Argus and Tritons,
which would be at Triton.
Yes.
Trinity Greenlawn. You got Culver 10 and 12. You got Triton. You got Argus at 14 and 7.
Michigan City moving down Yeah, Michigan City Marquette has moved from 2A down to 1A, so they should be the favorite in that.
16-7
And
against Westville.
Westville the same. Westville was in the same sectional with us last year over at Judson. So they gave Judson all they want. So that Marquette Westville game should be a good game.
Sectional basketball. Tell me about this, man. The last part of this show. Now, tell me about what superstitions you had, and if they carried into the sectional. So I had superstitions where I would wear the same clothes, the same socks. Did you have superstitions when you were coaching?
The 98 team, I wore a goofy Bill Cosby type sweater on Friday night, and we won.
You wore it.
I wore it again Saturday night, and there's pictures to prove it.
Well, no,
But the one thing
I
always
like that too.
Yeah, the one thing I always told the kids in our private meetings, I said, you know what? We may not be the best team in the sectional, but if somebody wants to win the sectional, they need to beat us to do it. And that was the attitude we went in. We went with it.
I think that's a great way to put it. And I know there were a few times where you took your John Adams teams in and you didn't have the best record, but you went away with it and you won those sectionals.
And we won some ball games because of that. Just a lot of it has to do with attitudes.
So we're going to do a couple questions here. I got a student in my class, Isaac Duddleton, and his question to me was, if you practice hard every day, how much better can you expect to get?
Has to do with talent. You can practice as hard as you want, but eventually you're going to hit a limit. There's that ceiling that we keep talking about. But if you don't practice hard, you have no chance.
If you don't practice hard, Isaac, you got no shot.
You have no shot.
You got zip shot. If you practice hard, you got a shot maybe of reaching as good as you can be. John, you got a couple questions for
we need
Real
to finish
quick.
up,
us
don't
two
we?
slaps.
Yeah, a couple questions here. This is a baseball question. With baseball starting up, what are your thoughts about the AL and NL Central divisions? This comes from Craig in Chicago.
Bada bing, Cubbies.
Just say Cubs and
Cubbies.
get
Cubbies.
it out of the way.
No. Cubbies, White Sox. White Sox got a new manager. You're always going to have to play against Tito Francona at Cleveland. Cubbies or the White Sox got a new manager. They got great young players. Of course, you know what I'm going to say about the Cubbies, man. There it is. What do you got?
Same thing. I'm nothing. I just watch baseball. I enjoy baseball, but I don't lose sleep when somebody wins or loses a ball game.
What's your next question, John?
Oh, my goodness.
I'm trying, John. No, I'm working with him. John, give me.
He's a work in progress, right?
I'm not from up here, so I don't live and die off the Cubs.
College
I was more of a
basketball
Cincinnati Reds.
Well, maybe this will be more
There
for
you
your
go.
taste. College basketball question. Who are your favorites in the Big Ten, Big 12, SEC, and Pac-12 tourneys
Lord.
coming up?
You got all that info.
I did. Well, let's just see here.
Forget the info.
Let's do a
off your
Johnny
head.
Carson.
Off your head, man.
Purdue will win the Big Ten title, but I still think Purdue will be the first number one seed that gets bounced from the tournament.
Okay.
How's that?
SEC, Alabama.
SEC, Alabama.
Oh, no, it depends. It depends who else goes to jail.
Depends if they have all their players, how the bailsmen, what the bond
The
is
bail
set.
bondsman. Yeah, what the bond is set.
The bail bondsman may be the MVP.
Yeah, no, and he'll affect the numbers game on the point spread.
Yeah, believe it or not, Pittsburgh is leading the ACC.
The Steelers?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Don't sleep. I like Miami of Florida.
I do too. Jim Larinaga was the head coach of Bowling Green when I was at Ball State.
I like Miami of Florida, and I don't know if they'll win the ACC tournament, but I think they will go a long way in the tournament.
All right.
So that's where I stand on that. Big 12, I like Kansas. Texas is good, but I still like Kansas.
Everybody's talking about Kansas being able to make a run and maybe being a front runner for that for the national champ. One more, John. Give me one more.
Last question. This is kind of a reminiscent question. What are your two favorite memories coaching boys high school basketball?
I'll give mine, and I'll give one of mine, and Pat will give one of his. Probably one of my favorite memories is my first game when I coached at Wapahani High School, just east of Muncie. We're playing against Muncie Burris. Brian Carr was a great player, played in Nebraska. We took 7 charges on him, and we got 3 called. The other 4 I went crazy on, and I got 3 technical fouls. Because back in those days, you could get 7 techs and not get kicked out of the game.
Go ahead.
I got 3 technical fouls.
I know where this is
going. The following Monday, the great Gene Cato, in his southern drawl, calls me and says, Ron, you know you're second in the state in tees. I said, Mr. Cato, who's number 1? He said, the great Bill Harrell at Muncie Central. I said, Mr. Cato, I don't know if this is what you want to hear, but give me another week and I'll catch him. He said, Ron, that's not the purpose of this call. Well, give me yours, Pat.
Oh, Lord.
I'm sure yours is going to have to do with something.
I
know what
can't
yours
touch that.
I know what yours is going to be.
No, I don't.
Yes, I do. Stacy Meyer, possibly?
It's a close second.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
The first one, I think, and it's just simply because it's basically a player I always admired. My 07 Adams team, we're playing in the Michigan City Regional against East Chicago. Etuan Moore, Angel Garcia, that group. Well, who's their coach? Pete Turgovich.
Man.
Here we are. I'm standing here talking I told my wife ahead of time, when I go talk to Turgovich at the scores table,
a picture.
I said, get as many pictures as you can. Kind of like your LeBron stories where you say, here, sign these. They're going to be worth something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here I am. I'm talking to Pete Turgovich, who I'm thinking, okay, my God, this is like one of my childhood idols, and he was only I was a freshman when he was a senior. I remember when ECW came to the Wigwam and played. I mean, the Indians were awful, and here comes East Chicago, the number one team probably in the country at the time.
Yes.
And they come in there. And just the idea that I got to be on the same court with him, and he's the coach of the other team. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, and if I had to get back to coaching, and then we had a close game with him.
No,
but you're right. My Southern Indiana story would be with Madison.
Beating Greensburg.
We beat the number one team in the state. Greensburg was undefeated, defending state champs. We had to go to Greensburg, and they'd won like 30-some in a row. And we beat them in overtime. Now, the fact that we hit 15 threes in that game and beat them like 89-87 in overtime.
It doesn't matter.
It was all coaching.
It was all coaching, and it matters about the game. And I knew that. So that's how much I know about your career.
So
I knew that.
We had beat the number, and we were rated. We were number 8, and then Mike Broughton says, "Hey, Coach, I did you a favor. I got you out of the Greensburg sectional." So he sends us to Corydon. Brownstown's number 1. Corydon's number 2. We're number 6. Wow. Silver Creek's number 8. We're all in the same sectional.
I did you a favor.
We did you a favor. So we end up going to Corydon.
So at the end of the day, great show, John. Thanks for spinning the dials. You're the absolute best. We ran a little longer today because we started a little bit later. Pat,
we had
great show, big boy.
3 good guests.
3 good guests. We will see you next week. We'll have sectional numbers. We'll have winners. We'll have regional set. Thanks for watching tonight. And thanks.
Get some college basketball in.
And thank you for the great people here.
We talk about Bar Louie, dinner is served.
Again, dinner is served. 100 TVs downstairs. Great atmosphere. Stop in. Adios. Great show.
This has been Coach's Corner, and if you've missed tonight's live show, you can catch us on demand at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on BroadcastSport.net. We'll be back next week with another edition of Coach's Corner with Heck and King. Have yourselves a great night.